What's good? What's good? What's good, Sports World? The season is officially over, gentlemen. We are here at Highmark Stand Me. Join me, Community Challenger News, George Randy, a.k.a. The Rat Man. And, hey, man, we got 105 to beat Rochester. My guy Jay is in the pace. You know what I mean? Keeping it real, you know what I mean? Sports talk. But what's keeping it real is the Bills today laid a big egg. And, guys, I always say, playoffs always expose what you've been getting away with all season long. And the Cincinnati Bengals definitely exposed the Buffalo Bills today, shutting them down, only holding them to a season low of 10 points on the ground, dominating the Buffalo Bills 27-10. Draft Man, what was your thoughts on, today's performance? Give us your thoughts.
Well, I thought it was a beatdown, a thorough butt whooping by the Cincinnati Bengals. They came out, they had a game plan, they stuck to their game plan, they ran the ball. Joe Mixon with 20 runs, over 105 yards total, 5.5 yards a carry. The Bills really missed Daquan Jones, was the guy they brought in here to be a defensive stalwart in the games like this, in the playoff games. Unfortunately, he was injured in last week's game or during the week, had a calf injury. He was questionable all week. He did not play today. And, of course, Von Miller, the $120 man, has been out since Thanksgiving with his knee surgery. So the two main clogs on defense that they needed in these playoff games, they did not have, and they could have used them today because they just stomped the mud hole in the Buffalo Bills today, the Cincinnati Bengals offensive and the defensive unit as well. The Bills just only 63 yards rushing. Ken Dorsey did not come up with any creative plays, no reverses, no screens, no draw plays. I don't think the Bills ran a draw play in 2 years now. This is disgraceful. If you can't run a screen and a draw, this is the National Football League. You can't come out and run the same plays over and over and expect to get better results. That's part of the reason for the beatdown. And, hey, I'll be looking cross-eyed at Ken Dorsey right now, because he's looked like he's way over his head with his offensive play calling abilities.
11 carries, 37 yards on the ground. That's Devin Singletary's and James Cook combined totals. You cannot win in the playoffs when your running backs only have 11 carries combined and only 37 yards. Mixon, on the other hand, with a backup line, with 3 starters missing, 20 carries, 105 yards, okay? Cincinnati had some great balance out there. They had an excellent game plan. It was times where Jamar Chase was one-on-one with Matt Milano, and I'm not understanding how the Bills make adjustments to that or what. It's just like the Bills again got exposed. Coach McDermott went on and said this team was physical than us. Every time the Bills go home, it's always that word, physical.
And blown coverages. It was several blown coverages.
But to say every year they were more physical than us, that's an issue. So how do you fix your team being physical? One, you fix your team being physical by running the football. If you're not having a physical approach, if you're not running the football in these elements, guess what? You're not playing physical. Or you're not making your team be physical. You're playing passive aggressive. There's too much finesse in these elements. And the offensive coordinator do not understand how to use his team better to his strong suits. You can't have run blockers pass blocking for 40 plays, a game, for 40 times a game. It's just not going to add well. So again, the bad play calling by Dorsey in certain situations, and they don't switch up anything, no element of surprise. Again, like you mentioned, no draw plays, no screen plays, no trick plays, no new wrinkle for the playoffs to keep these guys off the toes. Very, very basic. We can't beat cover 2 shell now. And I think that the play calling with Dorsey has made Josh Allen regress in areas that he shouldn't be. So to me, it's just the play calling on both sides. I think the defensive side is flawed with relying on the 4-man to get pressure, and you don't have those 4 that can do that. But, sometimes you got to switch your style up. Go with a 3-4 look. Put Jordan Phillips over the center. Yeah. And Ed Oliver had a more pure, 3-tech than that's what he really is. So it's just no adjustments. It's no in-game adjustments. No thinking outside of the box with this Buffalo Bills team. And they're losing because they're not physical for 3 years in a row, which is a problem. So, Jalen, you were in the Cincinnati Bengals locker room. Just tell us what it was like and what were those guys mimicking.
Man, when we talk about the Cincinnati Bengals, I think the thing we have to say is complementary football. As we saw, Joe Mixon with 40 carries, he was beastly dominant on that ground game. Joe Burrow was very efficient in the early goings of this game. And when we talk about it, I know the Rat Man has eloquated to the misses with Daquan Jones. But as you stated, Muki, there's no excuses because to not have Jonah Williams, Alex Kappa, Lael Collins. You know, that three of the best offensive linemen on that team were gone. And they were still able to run the ball, pass the ball, and it was electrifying, man. I talked to Eli Apple, I talked to Jamar Chase. Those guys are ready for Kansas City next year, next week, and I think that it's going to be a dogfight.
Definitely going to be a dogfight. When you look at the balance again, Joe Burrow had a quarterback rating over 102 yards. He had 3 receivers that had 5 catches. So they had some great balance and kept the Bills defense off their toes. So
the bottom line of the game, Mookie, is the Bills quarterback was playing checkers while the Joe Burrow's quarterback was playing chess.
Absolutely.
That's
they probably only sacked him probably 1 or 2 times, and Burrow was able to make some plays with his legs out there, in the snow today. So once again, not sure on what this game plan was today. And it's some big questions to be asked going forward because it's free agent time. Devin Singletary contract is up. Jordan Poyer contract is up. Tremaine Edmonds contract is up. Jalen, you already said there's 16 to 17 free agents on this Buffalo Bills roster.
Mm-hmm.
How do this Bills team, rebound for losing, a lot of players and still being a contender in the playoffs? Because being a Super Bowl contender, let's stop saying that right now.
No.
Yeah, playoff contending team. They're not a
Right.
Super Bowl contending team.
Right.
So how do these guys maintain being a playoff contending team, after this tough loss?
And now you're going to pay Josh Allen a whole lot of money that he doesn't deserve. He's a good player. He's not a great player. Only great players should be paid the kind of dollars they're talking about paying. And he's not the only one. There's several other ones around the league too. But mainly Josh Allen here in Buffalo. What you going to do? How you going to pay him? Are you going to defer money to keep some of these guys? Tremaine Edmonds, I have a feeling Joe Shine and Brian Dable may break the bank. New York has a lot of money. The New York Football Giants, They may make him the highest paid linebacker in the game. So I think he'll be gone. And I think it'll be several other of these guys who the Bills not going to be able to pay because they're paying Josh Allen all this money.
Well, Josh Allen can restructure that deal to, put back in the kitty. If you want to continue on winning like how Tom Brady did it in the past, you would give back to keep those guys like a Poyer or a Tremaine or a Devin. You got to look at guys that's on 1-year deals. Shaq Lawson had a solid season. Jordan Phillips was up and down, but he did flash at times when he was out there. Roger Saffold, so you got a lot of guys that came in on 1-year deals. Jamison Crowder, I think that he runs it back because obviously he doesn't have no tape to go anywhere else. And he was that Cole Beasley this year to the point where he got hurt. We had to bring Cole Beasley back.
And you saw the drop off in the team once Jordan Crowder broke his ankle in that Ravens game in Baltimore. The team has not been the same since he was injured.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think the story, too, is, a lot of free agents, not a lot of cap space. As Muki stated, it's going to have to be a lot of restructuring. But when we look at the team, I think it's more so not the personnel matter, but a scheme matter. Ken Dorsey was putrid when you talk about offensive play calling, and we have to hold Ken Dorsey accountable. Leslie Frazier did what he could, but I think that the Bills, what they had to do is hold Ken Dorsey accountable. I think he has to go. He's going to be one and done as the offensive coordinator. And I think you guys have to give Josh Allen a lot of credit because when we look at the elite quarterbacks in the AFC, they have elite play calling around them, whether it's Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. If you look at the jump Tua made with a guy like Mike McDaniel, look at what Trevor Lawrence was able to do with the Doug Peterson. Josh Allen has not had that. Justin Herbert, look at Justin Herbert. He's a great quarterback, has all the tools. Brandon Staley, the former defensive guy, cannot get it done. So when we look at Josh Allen, George, I think that he deserves every dollar. I think you have to get a guy in there who can maximize him and maximize his talent on the offensive side of the ball. That is what he has not had. Brian Daboll, he did what he could. He's a great offensive mind and an even better head coach as we see with the Giants, but he needs somebody who could schematically do something with him. Josh Allen, he's a very smart quarterback. He's a very gifted quarterback. Whether it's his running ability, he can pass the ball. I know that Muki didn't want this guy, but I'm going to throw this name out here in this post-game interview. Greg Roman, I think, former offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens, would take this offense wonders. He did it. We saw it with Colin Kaepernick in the San Francisco 49ers. We saw it with Lamar Jackson in the Baltimore Ravens. The ability to run the ball with mobile quarterbacks. You've been asking, Muki, for the Bills to run the ball. None of the Colin Kaepernick, Lamar Jackson, they don't have the same passing ability as a guy like Josh Allen. So you get this guy in here with a Stephon Diggs, I think that's a recipe for success. That's the name that you're going to want to watch out for when and if Ken Dorsey gets fired.
I don't think Dorsey gets fired. I don't think the Bills, they do things to that degree. But I would agree that Dorsey definitely needs to go because I don't think that he's going to be any better next year. Greg Roman, Absolutely not. He had so many weapons here before and couldn't do anything with the ball. So I'm not a fan of that. Now, if a guy like Frank Reich don't get a head coaching job, we need a guy like Frank Reich to come in